If people are treating you poorly, it's because you have unknowingly taught them that it's okay for them to do that. In any interaction you have, you are unconsciously telling the other person what they can and can't do to you. Your tolerance of their behavior then determines how much respect they treat you with. And the factor that determines how much you tolerate their behavior is your sense of self-respect, otherwise known as your self-esteem or your self-worth. But whether or not you have a high sense of self-worth, you still deserve to be treated with respect by other people. So in this video, I'm going to teach you some practical strategies to help elevate your sense of self-worth, and also some tangible actions that you can take to start commanding more respect from other people in your life. Let's start with the most important point. The way other people choose to treat you is their business. But how you choose to react is your business. This is why that if other people are treating you in ways that you do not like, it's your responsibility to try and resolve that. Other people's thoughts, feelings, and actions are their property. You have no right to try and control them. But you do have every right to change and adapt your own thoughts, feelings, and actions to try and create a better life for yourself. This can be tricky to hear because when many of us were growing up, we were in environments where other people, usually our caregivers, told us how we had to be, how we had to act, how we had to behave. They would do everything they could to control our behavior, and there wasn't anything that we could do about it. And it's usually trauma from that time that puts us in situations now where we allow ourselves to be disrespected. But we're not children anymore. We're grown-ups, and we are capable and we are responsible for our own happiness, our own actions, and how we allow other people to treat us in our life. So the place to start if you want other people to treat you with more respect is with yourself. Your internal standards for how you think you deserve to be treated and how you treat yourself is what will then set the standard for how other people treat you. And the way that you can change that standard is by observing how you currently think and feel about yourself. Ask yourself, how do I treat myself? Do I think thoughts that are beneficial to me? Do I allow myself to feel my feelings? Or maybe are there some feelings that I don't want to feel, or some feelings that I indulge in maybe a little too much? How do I act? Do I act as someone taking care of myself? Or do I neglect myself? You'll probably notice that you treat yourself like shit. And that's okay. We have all been there. And most people actually go their entire lives without realizing that they are just neglecting their fundamental needs, and then they wonder why they're miserable. You don't need to beat yourself up just because you're not very good at looking after yourself at this moment in time. In fact, doing that falls into a pattern that is self-destructive and is not kind or helpful to yourself. If beating yourself up worked to try and change your behavior and make you look after yourself, it would have worked by now. But it hasn't, so it doesn't. So let that go. And instead, you can focus on two amazing things. The first is that you now have more self-awareness, and all change starts from self-awareness. And the second is that if creating respect from others actually has nothing to do with them and everything to do with yourself, you are the one with all the power and control here. Now, that can be a little bit scary because you are ultimately responsible for this. You've got all the power to change this. But, even if it does feel a bit scary, you wouldn't want to have it any other way. Now that you've recognized your own role in treating yourself like crap, which then means that other people don't treat you with respect, you can now start to take the next step, which is to recognize and slowly start building ways that you can treat yourself better. And really what we're trying to do here is to slowly build up and improve your sense of self-worth. There's two kind of sides to do this. You can go top down by seeing a professional, working through this with like a therapist or in group therapy, and really going inside yourself and looking at its toxic shame within you that makes you feel like you have no sense of self-worth and have no right to have any sense of self-worth. And then the second thing is a bottom-up approach where you yourself start acting as if you were someone worthy of respect. Now, this can feel quite overwhelming if your entire life is unmanageable and difficult and isn't conducive to you treating yourself with care and respect. But here's where you need to get ruthlessly pragmatic and just start with one thing. And I promise that if you just pick one thing, one small thing, and you just start building that as a good habit to take care of yourself, the rest of it will follow. There's a principle in life that you get more of what you've got, which makes it difficult to change. But once you've started the ball rolling in the direction of change that you want, it gets easier. Taking that first step is the hardest part. Now, I can't tell you what that change should be. You will already know this for yourself. But some common ones are going to bed on time, not using your phone in the morning, eating 3 meals a day, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, going to the gym at least once a week, and potentially even cutting out or not spending time with someone who you just know is not good for you. And I want to stress, you will already know what it is that you should do. Just ask yourself. You can do this in a journal, or you can just take a moment and ask yourself, what do I need to do to live a better life? And say the first thing that comes out, or write down the first thing that comes out, and then go and do that. You have all the power here, remember. All right, I could go on about self-esteem and self-worth for hours, but now I want to give you some practical things that you can do to start acting in your life like someone who deserves respect and who will get given respect by others. So there's really 5 things that you need to do. The first is defining your expectations. You could call this your rules of engagement. We often forget this, but other people can't read our minds, and so they don't know how we want to be treated. And if we have this unspoken idea of how we want other people to treat us, but we never tell them, and then we get resentful because they don't treat us in that way, that's kind of unfair to the other person. But this is exactly what a lot of us do. In any relationship, you have these expectations and rules of engagement, and if they are not consciously expressed and communicated and agreed upon, then they're going to be unconscious because they're always going to be there. And if they're unconscious, then they're not going to be fully meeting the needs of either party, and resentment is going to build. It might feel a little bit weird talking about this so explicitly with your partner or your friends or your boss. But that awkwardness is the price of a healthy and strong relationship, and one in which you get the respect that you deserve. Step 2 is expressing your emotions quickly, honestly, and empathetically. You need all these 3 factors to really maintain the strength of the relationship. If you're too slow, you haven't been quick enough, and that resentment is going to build up. If you're not honest, then you're never going to actually get to the root of the issue. And if you're not empathetic when you're communicating your emotions, which, can be anger, they can be dislike, they can be powerful negative emotions. But if you're not empathetic as you express them, it's going to be really difficult for the other person to receive them, and it's going to be difficult for you to move together on the issue. You are not doing anybody a favor if you withhold your true feelings and emotions. All you're doing is poisoning your relationship because you're going to feel resentful, because you're saving someone else from feeling bad because you expressed a bad feeling to them. And that is going to cause resentment to build up, which means that you have caused this other person who is important to you. You wouldn't have a relationship with them if they weren't important to you, to become someone who you resent. And that's your fault if you do that. And it's harmful to them because they're going to feel awful. And it's harmful to you because you care about this person. So here's a couple of quick ways you can make sure that you are healthily expressing your emotions. Make sure that you're articulating your needs with I statements Rather than saying, "You never listen to me," you can say, "I'm feeling really pissed off and unheard right now. I'm going to take a minute and then I want to talk about this." Make time for regular check-ins just to see if there are any lingering, underlying things that you need to talk about that maybe haven't had the time to come up during your busy day-to-day life. And remember always that you and the other person are human beings. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to fight, but you're in this together. You are a team. So approach any conflict or any difficulty with compassion and understanding for each other, and a readiness to learn and to forgive. Step 3 is reinforcing good behavior. It's an annoying fact of human life that we focus dead set on the negative things. I'll give you an example from my own life. In my sales job, if I'm hitting my target, nobody cares. If I really exceed it, people might go, "Well done, you did a good job," but that's about it. Whereas if I don't hit my target, everybody gives me all of their time and attention and effort because we need to fix that problem. And can you see how this just creates a cycle where we focus on problems and the good things never get praised? And now that might work in business where it's your job to solve problems continuously, but it does not work for relationships. Instead, in our relationships, we need to do something that feels kind of counterintuitive and actually actively seek out and praise the things that are going well. And by praising and rewarding people for doing the things that you want them to do, you can also sort of train them to treat you with respect. I kind of do this all the time now, and I always kind of chuckle inside at work when I'll praise someone for treating me in a way that I wanted them. And I go, "Nice, thank you, I really appreciate that." And guess what? They do more of it. And it's not like it's manipulation, like I'm really trying to make them do this thing. I'm just giving them approval and praise and making them feel good for treating me in the way that I want them to treat me. It's brilliant. The fourth strategy is remembering that you can always say no and you can always leave situations that you think are unacceptable. Going back to our childhoods again, many of us were just in positions that we knew weren't quite right, but we couldn't do anything about it and we certainly couldn't leave. And so this has made us conditioned to being able to stay in situations that are actually harmful to us. And I mean, think about it. Imagine if when you were 3 years old, you packed up your bags, you walked up to your parents and you said, "Mummy, Daddy, I'm leaving. Mummy, you're codependent. Daddy, you're an alcoholic, and I don't like how you treat me, so I'm going to go and live with Grandma." Like, you can't do that when you're 3 years old. And so instead, we have to force things down just to survive. And that pattern of forcing things down and not authentically expressing ourselves and not leaving in situations that we find unacceptable will carry on as we're adults. And that leads to us feeling disrespected. And we will continue to play out this pattern as adults unless we examine it and heal it and really overcome that wounding and train ourselves to act in a different way. And the good thing is, you don't have to perfectly heal all of your childhood trauma to learn to say no and to learn to leave situations that are unacceptable for you. Some people are just toxic, and you just don't need to spend any time with them. And then finally, coming full circle and turning this round onto yourself, the fifth strategy you can use is to model your own expectations in the way that you live your life. As a wise man once said, be the change you want to see in the world. So if you want other people to start treating you with more respect, you've got to start treating yourself with more respect and start treating those around you with the respect that you feel like you deserve. One of my favorite insights that I learned from therapy is that if you change, other people around you also have to change because you're not the same person anymore. So they can't relate to you in the same way anymore. So they have to change how they relate to you. And this happens without you even trying to control their behavior. It has nothing to do with trying to control their behavior. It's everything to do with you being the person that you want to be. And then the natural consequence of that is that people can't treat you the way that they previously treated you. And so what happens is, if you start acting like a person who has self-worth and acting like a person who deserves respect, and you keep doing that, eventually one day you're going to look up and you're going to suddenly realize that you are that person and that other people are already treating you like it as well. So that's how you can teach other people to treat you with the respect that you deserve. Let me know in the comments your experiences with trying to get other people to treat you in a way that you feel like you're worthy of. Please hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.